Welcome to another episode of TriRealHard. On this episode, I'm going to be trying to fit the 8-bar pizza rack. So I bought this from Santa Fixie in the Netherlands. You may have seen on the last episode that featured my wife Sakura that we are going to be trying to make a specific Rando bag to fit on this front rack. So if you haven't seen that episode already, please check it out. I'll put it on the top of the screen now. So this is the rack. It came in a simple plastic bag inside this box from Santa Fixie. This was one of the cheapest front racks I could find specifically for fork mounts. So it's very basic in terms of what comes with it. You've got the side supporting arms and the metal supporting brace for the fork that are just in with a bit of bubble wrap and a plastic bag and a couple of cable ties to secure them to the rack. Another bit of bubble wrap around these sharp bits here, and that's about it. You may be wondering why I'm putting the rack on at this stage. Well, it's because I want to make sure that the cabling is as clean as possible. So the lines that I'm running the cables for the gears and the brakes are in the best position possible. And I want to make sure that they're not interfering with this rack. So for example, a cantilever brake cable would probably go over the supporting bracket here that fits onto the fork. The brake cable would probably come up both sides over that piece of metal. So I want to make sure that this is on so I can run all the cables around it in the best possible way. You may have also seen on my Instagram, but I'm going to be trying to hack this rival double tap shifter to operate this 1930s style tire driven bell, and it does click across into position and back like that. I might remove the ratchet from this double tap shifter like you do see on the dropper post hacks sometimes on YouTube, but that would basically mean that it wouldn't click into position anymore. It'd just be a case of it'd push it across and back, push it across and back. So when you let the shifter go back, it'd just pop back like that without ever clicking into position. So that might be better for a bell, and I might go ahead and do that, but I'm not quite decided which direction I'm going to take on that at this point. But the bell, I'm going to try and connect this. I don't want to put it on my nice forks because it might scratch it. So I'm going to try and bend this bracket to fit around the rack's supporting arm here. So that's another reason to put the rack on at this point. Right, so let's go ahead and get this rack open and try and fit it. So it's literally just the supporting bracket that fits onto the fork. I guess it goes that way. Some bolts and the two supporting arms that are individually wrapped in plastic, which is quite a nice little touch. So there we go. Yeah, hopefully these go short enough because my mount here on my fork is quite high up the fork. So that's the only concern I've got. I'm just going to take this little bit of bubble wrap off now. So that bubble wrap was covering these two holes here. That one end of the supporting bracket will fit to, with the other end fitting onto the fork. Ooh, I'm really hoping that this is short enough. It looks like that's in the shortest position. That's going to be annoying if I have to adapt this at all. Basically adapting it, I think I'd probably be having to drill additional holes up this tube, which I don't really want to do, but let's see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and screw everything together now, and hopefully this will turn out to be easy. So this looks like it's a suitable bolt size, bolt diameter, so I'm hoping that an M6 nut will be what is required here to finish the end of a bolt of this size. Yep, it is. So I need a bolt that's about that diameter, but shorter. Now I found another one here. It's actually got a screwdriver head on, which isn't ideal, but as you can see, this one's a bit too short. So too long, too short. Now to find one in the middle of this. So this is the next one I found. I'm now going for this length, which is in the middle of these two. Let's see how that one goes. That looks like it might have enough length left on it. So, can you see that? There we go, it's about a centimetre or so sticking out. So let's see if we can attach the silver bracket to it now. So because of the rake of the fork and the angle of the bolt, if I was to just screw that tight now, I don't think it'd allow the rack to be level. I think it's going to end up sitting on the tyre. But the only way to find out is to actually fit a bolt on the end, so I'll give that a try. So it looks like it might just about be okay. This is in the bottom position. It could go up to about there. So that looks like it could be good. I do want to put like a rubber washer or something between this bracket and the fork just to stop it scratching the fork there. The back of the fork just looks like that with an Allen key head on the bolt there. So that looks like it'll probably work, especially if I just put a lock nut on the front there. That might work well. So I've just found this rubber washer. I think that might be ideal for just protecting the fork. So that's actually looking quite promising. I've got a couple of centimetres clearance here on top of the tyre, and it's looking quite level. There's still a bit of the bolt sticking out here, which means I've got a bit more room to play with. So I might just try and find a washer for the back of the fork here too. So I've just found this little plastic washer. It's a lot thinner, but I think it would do good at just protecting the rear of the fork. So I just want to make sure that the fit is right and everything at this stage before I swap this for a proper lock nut. But yeah, it's looking promising. So the next thing to do is to just sit the rack on top of it. If I just show you here, there's a slot on top of this bracket like that, which means that you can move the rack forwards and backwards because it's only got these two holes that need to connect to that mounting bracket. So you can have it as far back as here, and as far forward as here. I think we'll try and go as far back as possible because that will just look cleaner and it'll probably be a bit more secure and a bit more sturdy. So I'm just going to connect those two screws now as a bit of a mock-up. All of the bolts and nuts seem to be the same diameter, but these two here are shorter, which I guess are for this rack mount, compared to these two, which I guess are for fork mounts. But I've got my gold bottle cage bolts there, so I probably won't be using these two. I'll just leave it loose for now so that I can slide it back and forth and we can figure out where these fork mounts should sit. So the next thing to do is to fit these supporting arms for the fork mounts, but as you can tell, they're too long. So yeah, I'm gonna have to cut them down basically. Hopefully that'll work. I just want to see how long this one is inside here to know whether they're both too long or just one. So that's pretty good news actually. This is much shorter, so I could literally just cut this down, slide it in, and then create a new hole further down. So I'm gonna have to drill through this at a different point to hack it and cut this down, but it's probably not the end of the world. I think we can get this to work. This is far too long at the moment, because this is the piece that slides up and down within this outer sheath, and as you can tell, if that was to go through the hole at that point, it would need a hole here to actually work. So we're going to need a hole around that point, and also we're going to need to cut this tube down for it to fit properly. As you can see, this part that bolts on is tapered, so actually I need to cut the outer sheath down to around this level. So I'm just going to put a mark there. But basically there's only going to be 2 of these holes left at that point. Now, rather than having these 2 holes showing up here when the rack's fitted with this slotted in, it might be better if I drill a hole on the opposite side so that this looks like one clean bar apart from one hole. So that's what I think I might try. I'm just going to flip this bar around and see if that'll work. So hopefully I can get this hole position right and not have to drill any more. I think basically the rack's looking fairly level, but I'd want to go slightly higher. So if I move the hole slightly higher than that, about there, and then I'm going to try and mark exactly where I need the hole. I think the centre position is going to be about here. Now we just need to figure out, using the different drill bits, what size of drill bit I'll need to do this job. And yeah, the top just involves a hacksaw. I'm going to take a little break from the Diamondback ascent and get out on my Kona for a little bit. I've got a 1998 Kona Cinder Cone, which I refurbished from the frame up, so took it all the way back to bare metal and painted it using the Spindatt bike rattle cans. So yeah, my wife said that I need to get out of the house because we've been cooped up for a whole week with my son who's had COVID, and yeah, I think it'll do me some good to just sort of recharge the batteries. So this is definitely one of my favourite things to do, is just cruise down on my old Kona to a local park that's got a outdoor gym and just do a few chin-ups, a few dips, and just enjoy being outside when the weather's actually alright. It's been raining for quite a few days now, so it's nice to be out. So even though it's a little bit muddy, I've decided, so what if my jeans get covered in shit, I'm going to come back through the woods. So here we are on the Kona in the woods. So it was super cool to get out for the first time in a week and just do a few chin-ups, a few dips, and ride, spin the legs, see a train, just get outside. So yeah, just gonna pedal back home now. This section of woodland ends in a minute, so I'm just gonna enjoy the last little bit and then we'll be on the road before getting back and trying to fit that rack to the Diamondback ascent tonight. I think I can attack it with a renewed vigour and make sure that it works right. I'm gonna have to cut down the supports that mount onto the fork, so that's a bit scary. I just need to do the old measure twice, cut once, and we should be good. Definitely enjoying the build. It's good that it's coming together now. I can see that it's going to be good. Just a few more days and we'll be there. Right, I'll catch you back in the conservatory.